everybody. We are at an e-commerce conference, so I thought I'd start with a bit of e-commerce history. Amazon sold its first book in 1995, and look where we are now. There are whole conferences about the topic. Every department store has their own online shop. Well, almost every department store. Selfridges started their own online shop in 2010. KaDeWe waited another 10 years with that. 10 years. That's a whole lifetime in today's time. And what became of it? They had to shut it down again. And that teaches us a lesson that we learn in life over and over again. You snooze, you lose. And now, look at what Selfridges is doing next. They started their first retail shop. And that might make you assume that maybe they are onto something again. Because resale has been around for a long time already. Just think about your first car. Yeah? Did your dad drive with you to the mini car dealer and order a brand new Mini Cooper Cabriolet with all the amenities? No. You probably got something similar to me, a 16-year-old used VW with a few quirks. And then think about your first flat. Yeah, we didn't go to XXL Lutz, but we probably picked up the couch from our grandma. And then fast forward, the first kid, yeah, we got loads and loads of stuff from family and friends. So resale has been around for a long time. It's ingrained already in our shopping behavior. What is new is that it's shifting more and more to online and into new categories. Because actually, now there are solutions on the market that make it really simple to trade second-hand goods online. You don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. and go to a flea market anymore. Yeah, you can go on a marketplace, and actually, if we want to have it even simpler, you could try out momox. I won't talk too long about it, but I will tell you how we buy and sell so that you understand the challenges that come with it. We buy things from consumers directly, and all they have to do is scan an ISBN code of a book, CD, or take a picture of a clothing item, and then we tell them immediately in the app or on web what price we will pay for it. And they can do this with 10, 20 items at a time, really, really declutter their whole apartment, and then ship it to us for free. And if it's all in a good condition, freshly washed, yeah, not too broken, no holes, no stains, then we pay out the money immediately. Just throwing it away is actually easier. And then on the shopping side, also we revolutionized the way that you can shop secondhand fashion. Yeah, we offer a whole assortment of quality checked and also authenticity checked items that you can select what you want from it. You get it shipped to your house for free, try it on, and what you don't like, you can return. And if something ever goes wrong, then you can call a customer support. So super simple. And that's why more and more customers are adopting re-commerce. The re-commerce industry is actually projected to generate an additional 12 billion in GDP by 2030, create 200,000 additional jobs, and save 5.5 million tons of CO2. Because we all know the most sustainable product is actually the one that already exists. Yeah, and that is what really draws customers to re-commerce. They like that it's more sustainable, and they also like that it's not more expensive than most of the sustainable options out there, but it's actually cheaper. Yeah, so secondhand is really shopping with a good conscience. You can save resources and you can save money. And that is why more and more people are adopting re-commerce. And then in the case of fashion, there's actually one other factor that draws buyers to buy secondhand. Originality, authenticity. Back in the days, it was really authentic, really original to wear an Abercrombie and Fitch t-shirt. Because in order to get that, you had to get on a plane, fly to London, yeah, queue in front of the flagship store, take a picture with a half-naked guy, and then pay a lot of money for that t-shirt. Now, everybody can get that online. It's not original anymore. But what is original is to wear a second-hand piece. When you get asked, that's really nice what you're wearing, where did you get that, yeah, then you can say, I got it second-hand. And that person can't then go to the next store and shop it because it's probably not gonna be in the stores anymore, yeah? Because you found that original one piece in a second-hand shop. So, if re-commerce is such a massive opportunity, why is not everybody opening their first retail store already, resale store? Because it is bloody difficult. Yeah, on top of all your normal e-commerce logistics processes, yeah, storage, picking, packing, reverse logistics, the whole returns, you have a whole other set of logistics processes just for the buying part. Let's start with the most simple category. So re-commerce is easiest to do for products that have a unique identifier, such as books. You have an ISBN code there, you can scan it, and you get product data, you can scrape that off the internet, yeah, you have a picture with it, description, maybe even reviews. Simple, you just have to check the condition and then store it. The slightly more difficult category is the one where you have model names. Yeah, so maybe you have an iPhone number 10, 11, whatever, and you don't know really which one it is, yeah, but you kind of know which one it is. So you can also get that content so you can list it on your e-commerce shop. Fashion is really one of the most difficult categories to do re-commerce for, because we don't just have to check the condition of the item when it arrives, but we also have to check the authenticity of it. So is it an original or is it a fake? Then we have to add all the attributes to it. So what's the neckline, what's the length, what's the color, what's the size of it, yeah? And we were doing this all manually in our warehouses. Then we have to take a picture and then of every individual item as well. Yeah, so we can't put the item, every individual item on a model and then maybe also do a nice product video, but we have to be really efficient with the pictures because it's one picture per product. And then we have to also package it before we store it. So logistics is really complicated. Then what's also something new is you don't just have one customer group that is buying from you and that you have to make happy, but you have a whole other set of customers that you have to make happy as well. And their motives really contradict, because you've got your Cinderella, yeah, she's your shopper. She wants the most beautiful dress in the best condition for the cheapest price, yeah, of course. But then you have the one that is selling to you, and they want to also maximize the price that they get for the item, which brings up your cost on the other side. Also, they probably don't want to sell you the newest, best pieces, but they also have some of the older stuff that's not in such a good condition. And really, to manage the NPS of both customer groups, find the sweet spot where both are reasonably happy and also you make a small margin, yeah, that is the most challenging part. Third challenge, you don't know what you're buying at the moment that you're buying it. You're buying really the cat in the sack. So a couple of years ago, the only thing we knew at the moment when we were telling the customer what we will pay for sure is we knew the category, like a coat and a brand, maybe Tommy Hilfiger, yeah? And based on this information, we have to tell the customer already what price we will pay without knowing What's the recommended retail price? Is it an older coat? Is it a fashionable coat? What's the material? What's the size? And then we also don't know what price we should list it for. There is no recommended retail price for that product in the fashion space because we don't have that unique identifier, such as an ISBN code. Yeah, so really challenging to do pricing and really the assortment steering. And then, as with any normal new business venture that you're trying as a business, it's probably going to lose against your main category because your main category, you know, the effort, the investments you put into it are going to yield a certain ROI, and that is probably going to come quicker and it's going to be higher than with your new category that you have to invest a lot of initial effort into to make big and scale. Some more differences between e-commerce and re-commerce, how you have to change your thinking. Some good news here also after all these challenges. Your product cost, so the COGS share of your revenue is probably going to be half of what it is for new products in re-commerce. So you have to spend less on the products you buy. The bad news with that is you're probably going to have to invest that in the logistics processes. As we heard, they are really extensive. And then one other key difference is, I touched on it already, is the whole assortment steering pricing. We don't have a buying team at momox with fashionable people that know exactly what are the trends, which items should we buy more of. Okay, this dress is selling, we're going to buy 100, 1,000 more of these. Not possible, yeah, because you're buying from the pool of sellers, of consumers. They only offer what they have, and within that you can try and cherry pick based on the little information that you have. So it's not going to be your buying teams that are selecting what you buy, but it's going to be a data engineers, a team of data analysts and smart algorithms actually that steer it. So we've developed algorithms for the buying process as well as the selling process. And the buying doesn't just define the assortment, but we define or we get the assortment via the price we pay for it. The higher the price, the higher the conversion for an item, the more we can buy from it. So now finally some really good news. AI is making re-commerce even more scalable. I give you some examples of what we do at momox to reap the benefits of AI. The first one, let's start from the intake. I told you a couple of years we were only asking for the category and the brand and gave a price based on this information. Now we use an AI. We ask the customer to take a picture of the item, and then the AI tries to identify the worth of the item much better. And because from a picture, you can already read a lot of attributes. Yeah, is it an item similar to that other item that you sold that really fast and for a really good price, or is it maybe like an older item that's going to be harder to sell? So that's the whole inbound that we do AI with. Then also in logistics, we use AI to read the attributes from the picture. So instead of our warehouse workers standing there manually putting in what color, what neckline, what length, and so on, we have our AI read all of these attributes just from the picture. So a whole process step is now done by AI. And then on the selling side, we don't just have the usual e-commerce AI like with search and marketing and so on, but we also have a pricing AI because, as I said, there is no recommended retail price, and we have to figure out what price we should list this for. And then probably from that first price we listed for, not everything sells, also like an usual e-commerce. Yeah, you then have to have some smart dynamic algorithm steering that will find the price that the item is worth, that the customer wants to then pay. So more good news. So it's not just the players like us that are tackling the challenges of re-commerce with AI, But there's also a whole ecosystem now forming around the topic, because people are realizing what a hot topic, what a big business opportunity this is, and that there's still a lot of challenges that we can tackle with AI. So I listed a few players here. Trove is like a white label re-commerce suite. They help you with kind of the whole buying and selling. Then there's Fashion Sort AI. Really early days, but they developed like a cool, massive scanner machine that you put an item in. It takes a picture, front and back, and reads the attributes, reads kind of what condition the item is in. Is it worth selling, or does it rather go into trash or can be recycled? Then there's Pixar AI, I think also still early days, where they've developed a tool on the market that you can buy that reads the attributes from the image, like we developed in-house. Then there's Winix, some super cool kind of blow-up mannequin that measures, takes a picture from all angles, and then adds the attributes to it. Then there's Redivivum, which I heard about, which if you don't want to sell the goods yourself, yeah, they help you kind of list it on different marketplaces and manage the selling process through the technology. And then there's Google, so not a startup, but obviously they have so much data, and more re-commerce players are buying their services. They are working on an intelligence where they can match exactly the item that they see a picture of with something that they see in the universe online. Yeah, maybe they can match exactly the signature dress from that one brand of this season with something that's out there, new, and they can tell you the price, the attributes, maybe even reviews. Yeah. What will be more difficult is to do the same thing with a pair of jeans, blue jeans. Yeah, so I'm still excited to see how they're gonna tackle that challenge. So, some companies actually went on and said, we want to solve this challenge. We're going to do re-commerce as well, and we're going to own the process. I think Zalando is a good example of this. At some point, they really scaled their re-commerce assortment. At the moment, it's just 100,000 pieces. As a reference, kind of the specialist players out there have more than 1 million pieces online. Then Amazon at some point, when they noticed that players like Momox are making a good business trading secondhand books on Amazon, they also went into the secondhand book space, tried to do it themselves, but they actually left again a bit later because they realized you can't just do this as a side on the side. Yeah, you have to really focus to get it right and to be able to scale it and also make a profit from it. So that's your one option which you could do. Or you start with a partner and test and try and get some learnings before you then do it yourself when all these amazing AI solutions are available. So for example, if you are a high-end fashion brand, you could partner with Vestiaire Collective. So they have a solution for fashion brands, retailers. I think My Theresa is partnering with them. We, as momox, we sell Hugendubel books, Tommy Hilfiger clothes, yeah, and on the previous slide I mentioned Trove, which is like a white label solution that you could ask for help. Right, so I saw that actually just before my talk, there was another talk on re-commerce, yeah, by Rebuy, and that makes me really happy to see because it shows that this is becoming more and more a hot topic. So I'm going to be bold and say, see you at Re-commerce Expo 2030. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Monica from Repair Rebels. We are a repair platform. My question is, how do you see the new regulations? First of all, now we have a ban for fashion brands to burn unsold textiles. And also, how do you see the digital product passports influencing the resale market?
Yeah, actually, good point about the product passport, because that's going to be another enabler for fashion re-commerce, because it's trying to tackle the problem of not having a unique identifier. If you have a unique identifier with a product passport, which is coming, yeah, then load of the extensive processes will be as easy to do as with books. In terms of your question about the regulation, about the not being able to destroy fashion items, yeah, I don't know how relevant that is for re-commerce. I know that some re-commerce companies, they offer to resell those goods. Yeah, for them, this might be a good business opportunity to partner with the brands. But at momox, we actually have the principle that it has to be pre-loved to be able to make it onto the momox platforms. Yeah, so someone have to make the decision to buy the item before we then buy it. But if it's something that didn't sell on a retailer platform or through the retailer's channels, then we first of all don't think that we can sell it, as an outlet platform. Also, we don't think we should, because then we're again creating a market for this and not making it harder for the companies to actually, stop the overproduction.
Thank you. So currently you're not partnering with fashion brands on that?
We have in the past. So for example, with Tommy Hilfiger, we sold their resale items.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Hannah. Very interesting presentation. Especially I like the recognition with AI. And I'm just curious, when it comes to refunds, like, do you currently have a system to capture fraudulent pictures of, for example, some of your items?
You mean when they sell it to us?
Yes, for example.
So it's actually in the works, that we also check the images.
Yeah, I can imagine that must be like a lot of people like manipulating the pictures as well, because you can do it so easily now with ChatGPT.
Yeah, you can do it easily. Then you also have to think about the cost that it would take to check all the images versus the amount of fraud and what this is costing you. So we haven't figured out which one is more costly yet, but we definitely have something in the pipeline to test.
Are you working on a solution in-house for that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I loved your session. My name is Busayo. I'm wondering, how do you balance customers' expectation of pricing, especially when they give you the product? So if you suggest a pricing that's below their expectations, how do you manage that and get to buy from them?
Yeah, so we are not the company or the player that people sell to if they want to maximize their price. Yeah, if they want to maximize their price, what they get for the item, then they would go to the flea market or they would sell it on a marketplace. Yeah, but then they would also have to take all the pictures, describe it, ship it off individually, have some kind of back and forth with the buyer. So the customers that we cater to most are the ones that want the convenience. And they also accept then the lower price because we pay for all the effort that it takes to list and sell. Yeah, did I answer your question? Yeah, okay.